Michael.
Okay, yes, we're live, G. So glad we finally got this thing going. So a little bit of technical difficulty with in USU, but startups at their finest. So today, for anybody listening, want to start kind of give some background on Codelabs. Today we have Gentrit, who is the CTO of Codelabs on the call. He's been building software his whole life, having kind of built multiple companies and products. I'm the director of operations from Code, real estate software technology company, building the smart building operating system of the future. For today's call and kind of conversation, really what we want to get into is the future of smart building technology and really building a scalable enterprise operating system, something that's can be rapidly deployed, has a robust number of use cases, and can scale across enterprises and portfolios. And so with that, I'm going to give a little bit more background on the company, and then I think G and I will get into the conversation. So Codelabs, as a software firm, our goal is to build the most simple and intuitive real estate technology products. Our team has come together across kind of varying different backgrounds and disciplines, most notably from the software kind of data science space, where we have 10, 20 years of experience building software products, combining that with a vast and comprehensive knowledge of building systems and how the core controls of building technology. And then really bringing all that together is years of experience as a master systems integrator. So having in-depth knowledge on multiple different trades and the construction process, as well as IoT technologies and how all these different systems need to interact. And so kind of to G here, G, when we talk about smart buildings, this is a broad industry, right? There's applications ranging from cleaning services to fault detection, energy management, to things like your digital twin. And so I kind of wanted to ask you, and to really kick off more into the conversation about who Codelabs is and who we are, can you tell me a little bit more about our product, the technologies that we're bringing together, and who's using it, and some of the use cases?
Yeah, so I would start with a little bit talking a little bit about apps that are currently running in these buildings. So, and I would like to call these traditional apps or software, because they lack a lot of functionality. And this made us to start and build this platform. So if we think about these traditional applications, we can see that their focus is more like starting by having everything in 3D, like 3D floor plans, 3D equipment with animations, and then they have less focus on data. They have less focus on, like, they don't show you what these devices or equipment are. They don't tell you about they don't tell you anything about manufacturers of these devices or more quality data about it.
What you're talking about right now, are you floor plans, 3Ds, the data of equipment? Are you kind of from a building operations side or building management system? What space, what utility are you talking about exactly?
Yeah, so building operations mostly. So then the other issues with these softwares are that they are designed to run locally, or we have cases where they are designed to run in per building basis. This makes it very difficult for large portfolios, because every building has its own site, or it's very difficult for users management too, because in every site you have an account. Like, then if you want to manage this at scale, it just doesn't work. Also, another problem is that it's like if you want to do like something more advanced, for everything there is a separate app. Then you have to hire a consulting company to tell you what you have to use for FDD, or a consulting company that needs to tell you what to do for energy. And then return over investment just like doesn't make any sense, because there are a lot of spendings happening here. So so having all of these issues, we think that it's very difficult for owners and operators of the building, first of all, to run these buildings. Then it's very difficult for them to think about making their tenants happier, because literally they don't have insights. It's very difficult for them to adapt to tenant feedback, because first of all, there is very difficult to get tenant feedback. It's very difficult to follow the trends of the technology, because you can't integrate new technologies on these softwares. You can't like integrate these cloud IT devices that are coming up in our industry, and you can't even think about ML and AI. Yeah. So having all of these issues, we have decided to create our cloud platform, and then we made it our cloud platform, and then we spent a lot of time and focus on data quality. So then our OS is deployed on cloud, and it offers the ability to integrate all of these buildings into one platform. And then from this platform, you can control these buildings from one app. To enable multiple use cases, we have made it so modular. So we can build like modules for all kinds of teams that we have that run this building. So currently we have a good amount of modules. We have a module that is focused on only in engineering part of the building, so like a BMS. And then we have modules about tenants that have focused only on tenants. We have modules about energy. We have fire dashboards that only security teams have access on it. And we are just expanding this modules list. So we made it so plug and play for every modules. So when you think about all of these apps, now your question might become like, again, maybe I have to use accounts on all of these apps. Well, what we did is we created a separate modules only for accounts, where we can use it as a single sign-on. And then from this module, we can go and use all of these modules from a single like account.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, you just gave me a lot there, and I want to kind of unpack some of that and definitely dig into parts of it. And so what I heard and from you, how you described, our product CodeOS is a singular platform, single pane of glass that is modular, and pulling together systems like your BMS, your fire, your energy, with the ability to segment and manage for different user groups. And so you called out security, you called out tenant workflows, probably property management, and then your core building engineering services as a part of that. And one of the things that I think it's a really good point that you make is, for people who have these systems out there today, they are, either silo, or they're using some software or another for, multiple different versions of this. And if they want to bring something together, it's either really complicated or really expensive. Most of the times it's both of those things, where you're hiring a consultant who's trying to figure out how to do that. And so, when we talk rapid, robust, and scalable, like one of the things that I think is great about our platform is we have a partnership with Tritium Niagara, and that lets us go into any Tritium, installation where that's their building automation system. And at the core of building management and property management is comfort, tenants, these control systems. And so, very easily we can go in and to a building that's running Tritium worldwide and then turn on our software. And so what I'm hearing from you is, okay, that's the foundation, and then very modular, we can turn on these different apps and microservices to further enhance with whatever the owner's goals are, whether it's tenant management, whether it's energy consolidation, whether it's some of these use cases and user stories related to tying together different systems like a work order management and some of these other things. So can you speak to that aspect a little bit more, where we're going to a building, we integrate its core services, great. What are we doing to enable some of these other IoT products, as well as some of the kind of machine learning or data engineering that's going on in the back end to create some really unique and powerful user experiences across the stack?
Yeah, so our architecture, if we summarize it, has three main ports. So it's the first port is connect, the second is storage and data standardization, and the third is these apps that we just mentioned. So in the first port, in the connection port, we have a dedicated team that is focused on only in APIs integration and these gateways integration. So what I mean by this is that we can integrate to any kind of gateway that we have in the building, or any kind of API that is coming up with these new new sensors and new protocols. So and this is offered as a library of services, and we're constantly growing this library of integrations. So so once we have this in place, in the second port, storage and standardization, we apply there our ontology, where it's not just tags, but also stores a lot more information about the building. It tells us about functionality of the devices and much more information. So once we have these two ports are very critical. And once we have these two ports set up, then the third one is just a matter of like building apps, because everything else is very easy and just flows. So this is how is how we're currently doing it now. And then since the data quality is very good, this makes it so much easier to build custom use cases. For example, with our clients, we daily have custom requests that are not part of these apps. And then, for example, okay, I have integrated a camera. It has an API. Can you do people counting for me? The answer is yes, and the installation is in a matter of days. Or I have this new occupancy sensor, like, can we integrate it and make it part of the platform? Like, the answer is again yes. And why? Is because this data standardization. Because to us, even if this occupancy is coming from Tritium, or if it's coming from the API, in this standardization piece, we make sure that it is toward the same.
And so just to add on to that, one of my kind of favorite parts about what we're doing, because we get this request or this comment from operators all the time, where, hey, I have a camera system, I have multiple different access control, these things, or I'm trying to manage. From their standpoint, it's a headache to use these multiple different softwares. But hearing from us and knowing that when they have one of these digital systems, that they can bring it into this single pane of glass, and not just to do people counting, but to actually enable some of the workflows, like where we're optimizing HVAC based on the number of people, or your case of occupancy, especially in shared kind of common spaces or boardrooms, if you're in a flexible co-working space, where you might want to actually workflow your cleaning services based on utilization of certain rooms or certain thresholds. And the fact that all this data can be brought into a single place, 2, that it can be understood and defined through ontologies, and then 3, enabling these workflows and these user cases, and being able to have a client who's wanting to go above and beyond to provide these experiences for their tenants, and being able to say, yes, we can do this, is I think one of the funnest parts, because it's unlocking new things for them. And we're seeing people ask really creative questions around what they want to enable and do for their tenants and their teams as well.
Yes. So like one of the apps that I would mention here is like the app that is focused on energy analytics, because we're not just doing a bunch of analytics based on the current sensors, but also we have our AI and ML modules that we're doing scheduler optimization and also optimization in the whole building, not just schedulers. So we have some use cases where within a month, we managed to save up to 40,000 hours in all equipment. Like imagine if we convert this to the cost. So, and this is one of the modules that is coming like live in all the buildings that we have in the platform. So, and it does the prediction on when buildings need to turn, when we need to turn buildings off, on, or when we need to turn buildings on. But also it finds other issues other issues related to energy consumption, such as like running equipment during the weekends or running equipment during the after hours where they shouldn't be running, and giving you exactly the reason why.
The landscape of building operations is really interesting, because something as straightforward as reducing energy consumption, you would at first glance, someone who's not super familiar with this space would think that translates universally across buildings, but depending on the relationship between the property owner, if it's a school district, if it's a hospital, or if it's a commercial real estate building, now you might be getting tenants involved in these energy conversations where they're the one actually paying the bill, and that kind of just further reinforces the value of having this modular platform that can support a number of different systems, not just your core building. Because for a commercial real estate operator, you're going to want to reflect your energy back to your tenants, as well as your access control, some security, indoor air quality as well. And all that information is also useful to the building operator. And so it's always cool to me to see when we develop a core solution like schedule optimization, building optimization, that it's going to mean different things to different stakeholders, and that we can all manage all the data related to that in different ways for the different parties, which has been cool.
Also, Michael, I would also mention and talk a little bit about ROI. So our focus from the beginning was that we are thinking about that in all aspects. So first of all, we are thinking about it during the software development. So we are making sure that everything that we're building, it doesn't cost to run and operate, because we think that a lot of these operations can be cheaper. So by making the software to run like with less expenses, collecting like unlimited history for all sensors, doing all kinds of analytics, but have less expenses. So when we make it like this software actually becomes very like reasonable also for owners of the building, because the ROI is like very simple. Then once we have the software ready, we are also thinking about these modules. So what other modules we can build to make it easier to operate buildings and also find issues. For example, another module that I would mention here is our functional testing module, where we can do like testing sequences for equipment and run them during the night. And then what these testing sequences would do, they would commission the entire building within a day maybe, or during 2 or 3 days. So this commissioning report would tell us that where we have problems, is it this problem related with this device manufacturer, or is it happening because of the mechanical installation type, or why? This is a tool that finds like issues like very deep on the building, and it doesn't need to have like someone like inside commissioning. These engineers can just program it however they want.
I think one of our, one of the things that we've seen really hot from people is, I mean, there's a lot of use cases, but one of them we just mentioned is the functional testing. It's the commissioning, being able to, with the push of a button, whether it's at the end of a construction project and it's commissioning, or kind of retro commissioning later on, the push of a button, being able to test 100% of pieces of equipment, to actually run their sequences and algorithms and get all that data back for reporting, for fixing issues. But also, one of my kind of favorite stories about Codelabs is, or going back to like ROI and really the genesis, or the reason that this company was launched. And we touched on in the beginning where, your traditional, if you want to make these upgrades in your building, it's really confusing and it's really costly, right? And so from day one, what we've been focused on is making it a lot faster and easier to onboard a building, where now we're doing it in days, to add points and to integrate these different systems and sensors very seamlessly, because the true value comes from what you do after you have that data and what you can enable. And so, I mean, just thinking about that and going deeper and deeper into this industry and seeing how many things just are, you're trying to plug in a completely different system that has its own deployment cost and its own recurring costs, and it creates this big mess. And then you have to manage all those, and you have to have, like, think about training a team, and how can I have to train a team on 6 different systems, and that takes a lot of time, and it's confusing, and it doesn't work as well. And so simplifying this whole space into a single pane of glass that is capable of going of doing everything as high level as tenant and property management, to as deep as what you're talking about, functional testing, to actually run equipment through sequences, to read and write control programs to optimize the building. I think that's really put kind of a lot of power behind our product, and the market is recognizing that as well. So one, just, we're coming up on time here, but I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about what are the ideal projects, use cases, personas, who are we really finding get behind our solution, and why. So I'm going to start with one scenario. I want to hear from you kind of a bit about it, but the place where people have really been coming to us and seeking us out to help is around some of these flagship smart building projects. And I think the reason why is, one, that leans on our master systems integration experience, the fact that we can handle multiple different IoT sensors, and one, we can project manage this, but then also the IoT component and all these workflows that are enabled out of that. So I guess could you comment a little bit on the scope scale of some of these integrations that we're working on, different IoT systems and softwares, and kind of how working on these flagship buildings is pushing our software. We think it's going to push the industry, and also kind of make it easier for some of these existing property managers to follow suit and enable some of the same workflows for themselves.
Yeah, so since we are able to collect from multiple systems in the building and standardize and store them in a same way, we have a module that is a business analytics, where you can go and create your own dashboards and your own workflows. Because it's very difficult for us to handle all use cases in our modules. And if any of these use cases is not handled, we still have the ability to go and create these use cases. So in our BI tool, we can go and basically pick all the data sources. So by data sources, what I mean is it can be equipment, it can be any other API integration, or it can be a work order system, and then collect data from it and choose do I want to see this on a table? Do I want to see it on a chart? Add some math functions if acceptable, and save it. So then from this, you also can choose how do you want to push these data to any other system or API. So this enables our platform to pull and push to different APIs, creating these workflows that enable us to handle a lot more use cases that we have even are thinking of now, but they are coming through as clients' requests are coming up.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's always fun to see what people are doing with these tools that we never even really expected them to do in the first place in terms of visualizations and workflow.
Yeah.
Because it's so flexible that you start to see this kind of community create their own solutions, which is very cool. So yeah, I think we've really seen a good amount of success on these flagship projects because of our ability to ingest multiple data sources, and then I think schools and hospitals where energy costs are directly related to them. It has been a big deal, some of the optimizations that you talked through. And then I also think another interesting trend in our industry with COVID, work from home, work from anywhere, is that real estate operators for a long time have been used to, especially in the commercial space, where they had tenants coming in and they were looking for office space. And now what we're seeing is real estate operators, those who are kind of trying to get ahead of this, looking to actually attract tenants, which they've always been trying to do, but to now use more technology to do that, including indoor air quality sensors, some of these occupancy information. And I think to the modularity of our platform and the ability to integrate with speed and ease, it's been a real help to them as well. And then they can enable workflows for tenants. So some other use cases that I think have been really strong for us.
Yes.
Cool. With that, G, I will kind of thank you for your time, for getting on and having this conversation together. I think it's a really exciting time for the smart building industry, for owners, operators, for real estate in general, and that we're going to see this stuff picked up a lot more and more in the future. So.
Yes, Michael. So we're looking for new challenges. What I mean by challenges is new use cases in our industry, new use cases in our buildings, because our mission is just to make it much easier for operators to make their tenants happy and run their buildings smoother. So it's we're constantly looking for these kind of new use cases, new needs, new requirements. So if anyone out there thinks something like that we should do or we should implement, we are very open to hear feedback and to improve and add these new features in our platform.
Yes. Yes, and you can find us at codelabs.com. That's code with a K. So, okay, perfect. Thank you, G.
Thank you, Michael.
Yep.